Hello everyone, it's Bad Brittany here again, and I'm hitting you with another tough choice. So I went on Twitter the other day per usual, and I asked you all which movie you found more enjoyable, Scream 2 from 1997 or I Still Know What You Did Last Summer from 1998. So many of you replied with your choices, and I'm going to dig into what all of you guys said. But first, let's dive into what each of these films is kind of about and why I chose to compare them. Scream 2 was released first. Let's get into that one. So Scream 2 was directed by Wes Craven, and he's like one of the best. He's best known for the Scream franchise, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Last House on the Left, and The Hills Have Eyes, and Freddy vs. Jason. All some of my favorites. We start this movie off in a movie theater setting, and everyone is like really ecstatic for the premiere of Scab, which is a fictional movie within the movie that's about the original, like all the events that took place. And that's like one of the many ways that Scream pokes fun at themselves. The Scream franchise never disappoints with incredible casting. Big names such as Jada Pinkett Smith, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Sarah Michelle Gellar, whom we previously discussed in my last video, Timothy Olyphant from The Crazies, Rebecca Grayheart from Urban Legend. Honestly, like so many others, but I don't want to bore you all by just listing on and on. But so many horror queens and kings. I love it. I feel like I'm only hitting like the tip of the iceberg with everyone that's in this. The sequel focuses around the final girl, Sidney Prescott, trying to move on with her life while not knowing who to trust anymore, and the past coming back to haunt her. Sidney Prescott is in college in this one, and if you haven't seen it already, I'm gonna give some spoilers. So basically, the unexpected student, played by Timothy Olyphant, reveals himself as being behind the Ghostface disguise in the end, all along. But then we are hit with an even bigger surprise to learn that Billy, who is Sidney's ex from the original, his mom is actually the mastermind behind it all, and she is ruthless. She's simply seeking revenge on Sidney for killing her son, adding on to the corrupted family ties between the two. Overall, Scream 2 makes for a really great sequel, in my opinion, for what it is. Constantly poking fun at other horror movies, specifically other creations of Wes Craven. He tends to do that a lot, and I really like it. So now let's get into the other slasher flick that I want to talk about, which is I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So this one came out a year after Scream 2, and this film involves another slasher whose identity is hidden pretty much throughout the entire movie. Unlike Scream 2, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer didn't have very good ratings, but for me personally, I don't really pay too much attention to these type of ratings, especially when it comes to the horror genre. If you've seen the first one, then you know that a group of friends are being haunted by the night that they accidentally hit a man named Ben Wills with their car. As you know, in this sequel we see Julie James, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, trying to move on with her life after a traumatic turn of events took place a year prior, much like Sidney Prescott's attempt in Scream 2. The movie begins with Jennifer Love Hewitt giving a confession in church until she discovers that the priest is actually the killer, Ben, but surprise, it's only a bad dream which she wakes up from while screaming her lungs out in the middle of class. She is now in college away from home, which feels so similar to Scream 2 as well. I really dig the cast in the sequel, filled with really great actors such as Jennifer Love Hewitt, whom I previously mentioned, Freddie Prinze Jr., Brandy, Mekhi Phifer, John Hawkes, Mark Boone Jr., and even a surprise appearance from Jack Black himself. Also, I can't forget about Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator, a classic. So the setting doesn't just take place at the college campus. We actually get to see the two besties, played by Jennifer and Brandy, win a trip to the Bahamas where they take their two love interests, well, sort of love interests, along with them. That's when Jennifer begins receiving spooky notes, and there's even one scene I've always loved, which is when the whole gang is playing karaoke and on the screen starts to show I Know What You Did Last Summer. The Fisherman Killer is very brutal, just like Ghostface. Although I'd say that he isn't as clumsy as Ghostface is known to be. In the end, Jennifer is shocked to find out that the guy her best friend was trying to hook her up with the whole trip has been fake and has been working with his father, who is Ben Wills. Of course, Ben and Will are defeated, or are they? Honestly, I absolutely love how both these films have really strong leads and multiple survivors. They also center around a lot of like family drama and just seeking revenge. I love that. Both of these films have a lot in common to me, which is why I couldn't help but compare the two. And you all seem to really get into this comparison. So now let's take a look at all the replies to this post and what you think of these films.
So as you can see, right off the bat, people just started putting in their votes for Scream 2. So Chelsea totally gets how hard of a decision this is. Both movies have, their own little great things about them, what makes each special. So Nick Bush brought up the tanning bed scene, which I kind of forgot about until I rewatched it, and it is probably what maybe inspired Final Destination Part 3, I believe. I'm just now seeing some of these replies, so I'm a little late on giving them a like. Andrew brought up a great question from the movie, what is the capital of Brazil, which was the question that was asked from the radio station, the fake radio question.
As a whole, I want to say that I respect both of these films. Personally, I have more memories of myself watching I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So much more as a little girl. My family owned the movie on VHS, and I'd actually just put it on and watch it by myself sometimes. I think I was drawn to the fun vacation vibe that it had. But as I revisited both of these sequels now, I do see how the acting in Scream 2 is slightly better and the action is a tad more intense. This is an extremely tough choice to make though, but I have to say that Scream 2 has the upper hand given that the overall franchise is simply more successful. That's the end of the video, and I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who follows me, subscribes to me, interacts and everything with my posts and on these videos. It really means a lot, and I have a lot of fun doing them. So thank you guys.